you to, number one, determine if it's safe or not, and you have to have the burden of proof, and number two, take that proposal
So what
to
I'm
TxDOT
asking
and so on
you,
and
do
so
you want
forth.
me to write a proposal that says you would like to land and hold in the object-free area of the runway? You want me to submit that to the FAA for their opinion on whether or not it's allowable?
I'm not sure you want to do that.
Yep.
I think what would be helpful is to find out what Mr. Fortman worked out with
That would be
Casterville.
helpful.
I agree.
That would
But
be
I don't
good.
think you want to get into a situation, Carol, where the FAA starts having an opportunity to make a ruling on your operations, because
That's right.
it might be detrimental to you.
It might be. However, I will say this. I think that you're right, but as long as we're opening cans of worms, the FAA, unlike Andy, sees us as a legitimate aeronautical activity. I
We all do, Carol.
can't be.
Oh, now, that's not-
She's not talking about the board, she's speaking about Andy, the
That's
people
not
that you
right.
all
That's
hire.
He
Hold
hasn't
it.
said that.
Hold it.
To us.
That's not fair.
I find yours.
Sure it is.
I'll tell you again that I think you are by far the most knowledgeable pilot that I know, and I think that your operation is a tremendous benefit to the airport. But we have to find a way to bring it into to meld it into the rest of the operation. It's not an acceptable solution to have you just to the side of the runway while other people come.
A good manager would help.
You have to find a way to blend into the flow by acknowledging
So
the
now
fact, hang on, by acknowledging the fact that everyone else has to yield the right of the way to a glider in flight. You have to yield it on the ground. To me, it's a very simple.
Well, when you say yielded on the ground, you're talking about it as though I can just push my throttle forward and move out onto the runway like an airplane. We're talking about something that goes at a walking speed, and I still, after I get it on the runway and positioned down the runway, have to get the pilot in there, have to get the belts on, the checklist run. This is necessarily...
It's cumbersome.
Yes, it is. And so now you're telling me that it's less time to do that twice than to have somebody sit in there and go again with just the tow plane moving out.
The only thing I'm telling you...
The whole thing is, Andy, we were operating with the least amount of time in anybody's way prior to moving onto the asphalt. I was not excited about doing that, but the minute that you said...
You were creating a risk scenario
you said
for
in
the
your email
airport.
that you wanted me to operate the way all of the powered traffic does, and from the moment you've said that, that's what I've been doing, and now you're upset about that.
Now
And I
you're
guess
adding
my
more
question
stuff.
is,
I'm not.
what do you want?
Yes, you are.
What do you want me to do?
Let's don't get into an argument here, folks.
Al, it's been...
I understand.
You're not understanding what's going on here.
Believe me, I do understand. I do understand what's going on, but this is not, we're not gonna let this get personal.
It's not personal, I
It's
just
not-
want to
this
know
is
what he wants me
business.
to do.
This is business.
I think what Paula was trying to say is, and I know you board, I was on this board, nothing has ever happened fast. So what you've got to do before you leave this room today is you got to say, all right, what are we going to do tomorrow? Because getting these proposals and doing this board won't have a decision in the July meeting.
Right.
But Andy likes to play this, and I'm not downplay. What if there is an accident? I'll tell you right now, there's a much greater chance of an accident with both these guys on the runway than there is getting them over in the grass.
That's my
And
point.
that's right.
But if it happens on the
yesterday,
runway, we're not at risk.
Andy, it's not about who's at risk. It's about not letting it happen.
Well, I agree with that, except to tell you that in the amount of time we've been discussing this, there have been 3 incidents, one of which was a Convair that went off the runway.
The other
How far
side
did
of
you
the
go
runway.
off?
It doesn't matter
Okay.
which side.
Okay.
That far
Let's-
off.
Let's decide what we're gonna do today,
Yeah.
or we'll be here till tomorrow.
I agree.
I
Okay.
wasn't playing.
Okay, let's stay on the
John was
subject.
playing.
Let's stay on the subject. What are we gonna do now?
Yeah, right.
I'm like
We gotta
Paul,
address safety
I hate to
first.
spend the money on this, knowing it's not a fix.
It's a patch.
It's a patch. On the other hand,
It's gonna be a long time before they start.
yeah, on the other hand, we have liability issues if we don't. Go ahead.
What about the solution they came up with, Casterville? Why don't we just find out what they did there? Gunn said that if he looked at it, he'd look at it for 15 seconds and pass it to the FAA, get the FAA to look at it, and once they sign off on it, that is our own local procedure.
Are we meeting
Then
next week?
Next week, we can table this issue today after
Next
all 2
Tuesday.
I
hours of
will
discussion.
be happy to contact Mr. Fortman and find out what they worked out with Casterville get some kind of a plan. see
And I
what
think
we-
he also mentioned Minden, there's some other areas that have extensive, Colorado Springs,
Oh.
extensive glider operations.
Telluride.
That perhaps,
Telluride has scheduled air carriers, but they
Denver
also have
Centennial has
gliders
one.
And they're
operating.
also
Now, Carol,
so
let-
the point is, I think
Huh?
one point we all agree on is getting the gliders off of the hard surface runway is important because it's safer to get them off there and get operations on the grass immediately. And if we need a motion to do that, I'll make that motion right now because I believe it's a better, safe option to be operating that way in the interim until we come to a solution. We're not
We
going to
need
have a perfect-
clarification if
we're
that's
not
going to be a
having perfect
motion.
solution.
Are you talking about going ahead and maybe, putting culverts there?
No.
No, she's talking about just temporary, go ahead and let them
Back to the way
operate
they
off
were
the grass
doing.
like they used to.
Yeah, so when someone doesn't see a glider.
That's not gonna happen immediately,
they can
it's gotta
still
go through all the
make
paper
landing
trail,
be
right?
relatively safe.
That would be
Everybody.
Not the way the
So,
government looks paper.
Paul, you need to clarify what you're saying. Glenn thinks you're talking about moving them after we get all the paperwork done. You're talking about moving
Now.
them tomorrow.
tomorrow.
This afternoon.
Now, because I
don't we,
believe it's
And then
just
getting the
from,
paper clearance?
Why don't we file the paperwork and in the meantime,
I'm not sure we want paperwork.
get off the runway quickly?
No, what she's
Just
talking
try
about.
it.
What she's
Okay,
talking
yeah,
about.
that. Because I think the less we involve the FAA in their review of what we're trying to do, because in the end, we're going to create a situation that is meeting the letter of the law and the ordinances
Okay.
and
Well,
In the
to-
end.
and to direct them to move back into the grass violates 5 or 6 of our local ordinances, not FARs. Local rules that this airport board has adopted.
Well, what if they?
we've already approved their operations. We're in a liable situation if
Yeah,
we tell them
the
they can't.
What if they
approved it
land
one
for
time
now
over there.
on the runway as they're doing, or the grass, move out of the object area?
Like they've been doing.
Yeah.
But
You guys have been doing exactly what I asked you to
the
do.
only problem is that if I land in the grass, which is great, no
There's no way
problem,
out.
it actually takes me longer
Why don't
to
you land
get
on the
across
runway,
the
too?
grass and the runway.